Well, hello everyone. Here to talk about first and your next to the best to talk about found right here. What does it usually mean whenever you find something? And let's just say that we know how we feel whenever we had lost something, and a lot of times that you get real mad and frustrated about it. But what does it usually mean whenever you find something, even though if it has nothing to do with you or exactly about what you're trying to do? And you're likely thinking is that, maybe it could be maybe a diamond ring or maybe a necklace, or maybe if it's anything related to maybe a cookbook or something like that. And, like I say that, especially on graduation day, if this right here was an example of me right here. And let's just say that, exactly on graduation day, that if I would have met somebody by the name of Lacey McAllister, this photo right here is like so to present it as if it was taken from back on July 4th, 2024 right here. And so you're going to maybe have somebody that's going to maybe say that they bet maybe $5 proving that this picture is just, made up. But the way I think about it too, that, exactly that, in case if somebody asked me that, you met Lacey McAllister, who's Lacey McAllister? She is the daughter of, that manager that I used to know over there at the publishing company. Exactly that, if people ask the details, then it's possible you're going to go ahead and tell them. But, still, what does it usually mean whenever we find something? And, it seems like that's, whenever we find something, and even though that maybe if we're just experimenting around with something that, we're going to maybe be working for a printing business, and any results that, analysis of results that come up with, and, likely thinking too, as to what is the best way of how to meet people, and how do you meet people? And half the time it seems like that whenever you're just experimenting around with something, it seems like that you find something else that maybe that you were not expecting either. But really, that especially on graduation, and I know, like, if anybody say that with most students' graduation day, that how many of those students are going to maybe think as to where that they're going to meet somebody that maybe that they didn't know that they were going to meet, or they were going to come up with something, that's going to maybe keep them busy, maybe for 4 more weeks or something like that after graduation. Then, exactly, that, it's, you may not have an available schedule, that then it goes to the next set of responsibility that you got to take care of as well. So in case if anybody asks me that, who's Lacey McAllister, who is she necessarily? And, this right here, that, she's supposed to be what you call, your future girlfriend, or, maybe if it was, if she's a secretary, or maybe that, if she's supposed to be an author or somebody like that, for like a cookbook, or maybe for fashion design or something like that. But let's just say that the way I drew this right here looks like a little bit like maybe like a design that you would maybe see on one of those cosmetic, advertisements or something like that. Yeah, Lacey McAllister, products or something. But, if somebody were to be starting a conversation with you and telling you that they met somebody special in particular, or something like that, but and then you're going to maybe say, you guess what, I ran into Lacey McAllister over there at the mall, actually, that famous person who's known as for her lotion, bath products, and perfume, or something like that, that you meet somebody in particular, and you might say stuff that's maybe going to get people to talk to you, like any source of attention. So that really, whenever you find something that between discovering dinosaur fossils or anything like that, or maybe treasured items, the things that we do just to get any source of attention. So it seems like that whenever people find something, and usually about how do you feel whenever you find something, but still, that the way I think about for next to the best is that this right here, that talks about right here is like a photo, but the way I think about it too is that, in case if anybody asks me that, who is this person? I'm like, to make the long story short, she fell in love with the work that I was doing, but then that was 2 years ago, but then it took 5 years, later on, and then that's how she, yeah, exactly. If you all heard that before, to where that you're making the pieces of the puzzle, and then by the time you have somebody else put the pieces of the puzzle together, and that's how it seems like that's how they find, conclusions or maybe answers to or anything that they were researching at the time. But when we're going to be looking up anything on the internet, it seems like that you're going to maybe finding something else, that you're going to click on something that maybe that you see that comes to your mind also. But let's just say that if Lacey McAllister was supposed to be what you call maybe on a news broadcaster or something like that, or maybe a journalist for makeup products or something. So yeah, that if you're going to be meeting anybody in particular, and thinking as to where that it seems like everything's a total different experience whenever you see them in person. And so it's like, just think about it, as to where this right here, I painted this as to where just to kind of assume as to where that within about 5 years from now, that I would maybe meet somebody who was known and famous for a cookbook or something like that, maybe for a publishing catalog, and just think about it, as to where that about how many people are going to maybe say that they're going to go ahead and yeah, you think about it, it's like for what's really real and what's not. But how do we feel when we find something? And I guess we can ask that question to where that think about to where that, yeah, exactly. How do you feel whenever you actually find something, when something is found? When something is found, do you feel what you call grateful? Do you feel like, exactly, like, is something that you would maybe see on maybe one of those TV shows or something? I'm like, yeah, whenever you find souvenirs on the ground or something like that, whenever you find something, it just seems like something that you would just see on one of those cartoons. But the way I think about it too, that exactly, that if somebody were to walk up to you and ask you for an autograph, and like I say, that how many of us are going to maybe get that on the 4th of July, on the holidays like 4th of July or maybe New Year's and New Year's Eve, that somebody's going to ask you for an autograph just because that based on your degree and major and based on a book that you may have wrote you from previously or something like that. But the way I think about it too, that exactly, that whenever you find something, does that make you feel proud? As to where even though that, yeah, that even though it may not be your property, your belongings and your stuff, but still. So let's just say that anything in particular, maybe a key. I'm like, if anybody would say that, yeah, if you find a key, if you find a car key, or maybe a license plate, or maybe jewelry, like an old watch or something, that how do you usually feel whenever you find stuff like that? But still, though, that whenever you find something, I guess almost always are you expecting to where it's supposed to be what you call a treasure item, but still, though, that it seems like at the time that everybody say that, yeah, if you're going to be, yeah, exactly, that whenever you find something, that somebody else is going to be spending a lot of time researching about something, and let's just say that if it's supposed to be somebody like me or this other person, so if anybody say that, yeah, 4 years from now, then you're just going to maybe have to explain to this person about the whole story about, that, yeah, what I was working on back in the day had nothing to do with you until we met, and then that's how that all this was resolved and how that all that got together. But still, though, that with Lacey McAllister, yeah, that the way I spelt the name right here. Do you know anybody by the name of Lacey McAllister? I'm like, well, I might know, but still, I might know maybe a couple. There might be a Lacey McCullough or something like that, McAllister. But to me, though, that sounds like somebody working at the weather station, or maybe somebody famous for a cookbook, or maybe somebody at the radio host or something like that. Yeah, radio host. That there was a radio host's daughter that found my research, and she got interested in it, and that's how, yeah, exactly. If anybody say, if you want to go ahead and paint a picture just to kind of assume about what they look like. And like I say, that, yeah, that, so how many of us will maybe say that, Next to the best, huh? It all goes by saying this to her, that whenever something becomes a mystery, whenever people understand something a lot more, and sometimes it seems like, to make the long story short, well, she found something that became of interest to her, and then that's how that, like they say, for anything else, it'd be found also. But the way I think about it too, that anything that I'm going to be working on is basically like, so I say, for after graduation, and it seems like, well, you just think about the things that are important, the things that you gotta do, the next steps. So they say for graduation, because that graduation seems like a lot of events you to look forward to, especially for most students. But half the time, is that the same thing as saying a promotion, or if that's the same thing as saying maybe transfer? But on your hand too, what about found, huh? Next to the best, found. I basically say that, did you find your next relationship? Did you find your next career? Or did you find that next, what you call, moment of time, to where, that this person that you thought was made up, or this person you thought that maybe that would hesitate to say that, hey, that I know you're that cutie little brother. But other than that, talk about right here, is like talk about next to the best, found.